Hi guys, I thought I'd just do a bit of a different format for the video, swapping it up, varieties of spice of life. So I thought, well, what I might start doing is a new sort of segment, part of car snacks, where initially, while we can't go anywhere, I'll talk about my cars and just say, you know, they're nothing amazingly special. They're not, you know, super rare cars or anything like that at all. But I just thought I'd tell you about the cars that I've got, and then when we're allowed, perhaps go out and speak to other people. I'm a member of a few car clubs, and people love showing off their cars. So I thought, go and speak to other people who've got cool cars, and you know, they can tell me about their projects, what they've done, their likes, their dislikes, and perhaps what they've had before. And I thought it might just change it up a bit from the electric car side of things. Still absolutely motoring along with the electric car side of things, looking at things like units and different ways that I want to go. I'm just waiting on some parts now. My split screen camper's been blasted, just waiting for the underside to be done, and then some of the bits that go with it, all the doors and things like that. That will then come back and that'll be welded, and we can then start looking at getting that into paint. My little Fiat, I'm just waiting on the kit coming from America. I've got wheels off to be powder coated. I'm waiting for them to come back, and then I can start ripping out some other bits. So there'll be another update video on that coming up. But today I wanted to talk about my Jaguar. So I've got 2012 Jaguar XK. It's the 5 litre V8 and it's the Portfolio edition. So it's not the XKR, which is the supercharged. It's the naturally aspirated V8 with 380 brake horse. When I was looking for cars, I wasn't looking for a Jag at all. In fact, some of the ones that I've seen, they just didn't really float my boat, if I'm honest. And I was initially looking for a Mercedes. So I was looking at SL55s, CL55s, CL63s, C63s, and I was really keen on the C63s, and I'm not knocking it. It is an animal, it's a fantastic car. But when I drove it, I wasn't blown away. It was a nice car, and perhaps when I drove it, I just got rid of my Abarth, which was an absolutely amazing car. It was probably the best car that I've ever owned. It was a 1.4 litre turbo with 230 brake horse, and that thing was absolutely electrifying. It was, you could, on the B roads, it was an absolute animal. You could just hammer it everywhere. It's front wheel drive, but the wheels spun up, it was loud, there was pops and bangs from the engine. It was just a childish car, but it was so much fun. But I got rid of it. To be honest, my wife didn't like it, and for the same price I bought this. And I was looking at the C63s, and the C63, I think because I've just come from the Abarth, the driving of that was not the same. You have to be, you know, it takes you no time at all to be absolutely smashing the speed limit in those things. And it wasn't, I didn't think it was a very usable car. I know some people will absolutely hammer me in the comments for this, but I didn't think it was a particularly usable car. And it was really only an animal, and that was it. So I thought, well, what else can I look at? And I just typed into Google V8 basically, and my Jag came up. It was in West London. It was just at the start of the first lockdown, and I think the guy was just trying to get rid of his cars, and he was panicking about COVID and everything like that. So they were going at a steal, and I got this Jag at an amazing price. Well, I think it was a fantastic price. I took a chance on that, but if I'm totally honest, Cat Ds don't put me off. I think you've got S and N now, but the old Cat D and Cat C, I wouldn't buy a Cat C, but I've bought plenty of Cat Ds in the past. I think as long as you check them over and the chassis are straight and everything like that, you know, quite often they get written off because of something ridiculous like a smashed window and a dented wing. well, you just replace them and it's absolutely fine. And insurance companies are loath to pay anything out that's more than 50% of the value of the car. So yeah, bought it as a Cat D. I've had it probably about a year now, and I don't use it that often, and I've toyed with the idea of selling it and then not selling it. But my wife says she loves it. She doesn't drive it, but she absolutely loves it and says that I shouldn't sell it. And sometimes, I do look. It's one of those cars I look back and think, "Cool, you do look nice. That is a nice looking car." It's been lowered. It's on H&R springs. It's got Spires exhaust on it. The other things that I've done to it, it's got painted calipers, but I'm going to upgrade those to Brembo calipers. And I might upgrade the exhaust to a X-pipe with a muffler delete as well. That'll make it very loud, but it's not my daily driver. So it's just a bit of fun. It's an experienced car. So I'm thinking about doing that. I've got a front splitter on it. I've got the diamond car mats, which you probably see all over Facebook. I was a bit worried it was a con, but I have to say they're the nuts. They're absolutely brilliant mats. They are. They really sort of set the car off, wipe clean, and they were about 100 and something quid. And then all the chrome has been blacked out on it, so it's got no chrome on it at all. Things I love on the car is it's one of those cars that you can drive it as you can just put it in drive and it is very comfortable. I mean, I've driven up to Cumbria in it. You could drive down to the south of France in this car. It's got a decent sized boot. I do put the kids in the back, but it is tiny. You wouldn't want to do a long journey with the kids in the back. But it's very, very comfortable. But then you've got a couple of different modes. You've got sports mode and you've got dynamic mode, and that changes the way that the gears shift, and it makes the whole experience totally different. Now, on a normal exhaust, I don't think this is the case, but on my exhaust, it's got an active exhaust, so it basically reacts to the throttle, so it can sit there fairly quietly, but then you put your throttle down and it opens the exhaust up. The other thing that I love about it as well is childish, I know, but it really does growl, and it doesn't really pick it up on the phone when I've been recording, but it really does growl at you when you're driving it. Also pops and bangs when you're going along, and I absolutely love that because it's just all about the experience for me. I did think about buying the XKR, which has got the supercharger on it, so it's not naturally aspirated, and it is slightly more powerful. Got quicker 0 to 60 top speed, 0 to 60 and top speed. But you know what? I'm not a racing driver, and that car for me is absolutely enough. I mean, it is awesome. I really, really like it. So